The YouTube algorithm made Anna Bey famous for teaching women how to level up their style and elegance. Then it trapped her there.
Was just, pushing out the elegance. Elegance. My dear elegant ladies, I kind of feel suffocated under these labels. I am bored. I am burned out.
Now she's considering leaving the platform entirely. This is what happens when success becomes a cage, and what every creator needs to know before it happens to them. Today, we're diving into something really important that affects every single one of us YouTube creators. What happens when the very success you've worked so hard for starts to feel like a prison? Recently, Anna Bey posted a video explaining why she took a break from YouTube and why she might be leaving the platform altogether in the near future. And that really hit home for me because I had just interviewed Anna right before she decided to step away. Anna's story isn't unique. It's actually a pattern I've seen with many successful creators, especially women, who reach a certain level of success and then find themselves pigeonholed by the very algorithm that helped them grow. In fact, I've actually done other videos on this topic, specifically about Andrea Hot and Flashy, Raw Beauty Christie, Eleanor Neal, Frederick Brose, and Sierra Soltzi. And in this video, I'm gonna break down what Anna said in her video and give you some important lessons. What actually happened with Anna and why her experience matters to you, the psychological toll of being trapped in a content niche, how the algorithm creates this success trap for creators, and most importantly, strategies to avoid this burnout or pivot successfully if you're already feeling it. Whether you're just starting out or you've been creating on YouTube for years, understanding this now could save you from hitting the same wall that Anna did. And I need to preface this by saying that I don't know Anna personally or ever worked with her on her YouTube channel. This is just my observations based off of my nearly 10 years of experience working with YouTube creators and producing YouTube channels, as well as my interview I did with her earlier this year. I have to say that I really enjoyed chatting with her, and I enjoy her content and her as a person. And just that short time that I had with her, I really appreciated her eagerness to be on my show, give a really good interview, and provide value to my audience. I was actually a little bit surprised at how down to earth and sweet and friendly she was. All of that to say that I really liked her and enjoyed my time with her. So Anna, if you are watching, I hope this video is helpful to you and also for everyone watching as well. Ladies, class is in session. Anna Bey built a YouTube empire with nearly 2 million subscribers by teaching women how to level up their style, their elegance, and their lifestyle. But behind that polished exterior was a creator slowly burning out.
But the thing is that as a woman who runs her own business, I feel like I've gone through a lot since I started my business. Because I started in 2018. And if you are a savage like me, who just pushes until the max, just keeps on going, and just is not very kind to herself, which is a mistake that I've made with myself, then you're gonna get emotionally exhausted and burned out eventually.
This confession is something that every creator needs to hear. What is really interesting about Anna's journey is that this burnout that she's experiencing right now, it didn't happen overnight. It happened years after pushing herself in a direction that slowly became less and less aligned with who she became. People get burned out mainly because the content that they're creating drains their energy. When it drains your energy, it means that you're not in alignment with that content anymore. And when you're not in alignment, it takes that much more energy, and taking that much more energy leads to being burned out. And if that's you, let me know in the comments, because it's a common thing and it happens a lot. People change, their content doesn't necessarily change with them, and then they feel that heavy toll of creating content. Since I interviewed her recently, she made some really insightful statements that actually became clues to what she was experiencing and what would happen next.
I started to become a bit overly strategic. I started to sacrifice my creativity and what I also wanted to make as content. And so I was just, pushing out the elegance.
What's interesting about Anna's experience is that for years, this same workload probably didn't feel like burnout at all. When she first started seeing success on YouTube, that excitement of growth, the thrill of all those new subscribers, and the validation of her work probably gave her a ton of energy. It was new, it was exciting, and it was working. And this is a pattern I see with a lot of successful creators. At the beginning, when they're first seeing that success on YouTube, they don't necessarily feel the burnout or exhaustion because it's exciting. It's so new. They're growing. They're finally getting acknowledgement. They're finally getting people recognizing them for all their hard work. And that gives you a ton of energy and excitement that fuels you to make video after video after video after video for years. And let's be honest, that initial excitement and intense motivation is absolutely necessary to get a channel off the ground. True success on YouTube requires you to be unlike anybody else, which often means being extremely obsessed with being successful on the platform. Sometimes that comes at a cost. Usually the cost of working extremely hard and not having any balance for a season. It's not sustainable for a lifetime, but it is definitely sustainable for that season and almost a necessary evil of being successful on YouTube. I actually just filmed a video about this topic of being obsessed with YouTube that will be live in a couple weeks, so make sure you are subscribed because it's gonna be a really good video. Now that Anna has almost 2 million YouTube subscribers, she has the luxury to take a step back occasionally like she just did. She's earned the ability to approach her content creation from a different angle. Not from that intense hustle mentality that got her started, but from a more intentional, balanced perspective. She's in a different season now, one that doesn't require that same frantic energy, but instead calls for a softer, more sustainable approach. But after a while, most creators do eventually need to pivot, otherwise then they burn out. And creating from burnout is very, very difficult. And most people cannot do it. And even if they can do it, most likely that content that they're creating while in burnout is not their best work. Imagine the difference between running a marathon when you're really passionate about the why behind it, or if you're running for some kind of cause, versus running that same distance when you are no longer connected to that cause or to why you first started. The actual physical effort is the same, but that mental toll is totally different. And that's what happens when creators continue making content that they are no longer aligned with. Anna has enough self-awareness to know that she is at that place right now. And so she took some time off to figure some things out. This kind of honest self-assessment is something that every creator needs to develop before they reach complete exhaustion. And what makes Anna so valuable and why I wanted to use it to talk to you here is that she's showing us what happens when you finally decide to prioritize your authentic creative voice over what the algorithm wants from you. And that's a lesson that every creator needs to learn before they hit their own breaking point. And if there's one thing that shapes a YouTuber's journey more than anything else, it's the YouTube algorithm. It's the invisible force that can shoot you to success or keep you trapped in a content box that you've outgrown.
The topics that I got so known for on this channel, which is elegance, style. I'm really niched down under this category. But the truth is that I want to expand beyond. I have so much more that I want to talk about, so much more to give, but yet I kind of feel suffocated under these labels because the way the YouTube algorithm works, it kind of just pigeonholes you.
Anna's frustration is something I hear from creators all the time. And she's absolutely right about how the algorithm works. The reality is that the algorithm follows the behavior of the audience. I love YouTube, as you guys know here. If you're new here, you're gonna learn I love YouTube because to me, it is one of the best indicators of human behavior. People say one thing often and they sometimes do something very different. And the analytics is what really tells us what people are interested in, what they're clicking on, what they're intrigued by, what they're curious about, what they want to know. Her and I talked a little bit about the YouTube algorithm in the time that we had together.
But I feel like on YouTube, we are so forced to belong to a niche, and I can't stand that. Literally, I'm like, oh, algorithm, I don't like you.
Here's what's happening behind the scene. When you create content that viewers like, the algorithm notices those positive signals, the watch time, the engagement, the click-through rate, and it then shows your content to more people who it thinks will also enjoy that specific type of content. In Anna's case, people were very intrigued by her classy school of thought and that type of content that she created. And so as a result, she attracted more and more of those people that wanted that content.
Because, you know, when you go viral, let's say under the label of elegance or the category of elegance, then you have to create more of that if you want to have growth on your channel, right? But then elegance might not be the only thing you care about or the only thing you're passionate about. But then you start feeling kind of pressured.
This creates a powerful but potentially dangerous loop. The algorithm follows the audience. And if the audience wants that type of specific content from Anna, That is what YouTube is going to share, to push out to people. And if people continue clicking on that, it becomes, in Anna's case, a possibly vicious cycle. For other people, other YouTubers, it's a beautiful cycle that allows them to get exposed to more and more people. But for Anna, in this case, right now, it started to become more of a negative thing. It became this vicious cycle, people enjoying this very specific content from YouTube, then clicking on it, and therefore YouTube pushing it out more. And therefore creating this big audience that really wants this one very specific type of content from her. Think of it like being typecast as an actor. If your breakout role is that of a villain, directors will keep offering you those villain roles because people like you as a villain. And the more villain roles you take, the more directors see you as a villain, the more the audience sees you as a villain, and that cycle continues. Breaking out of that typecasting takes a lot of courage and often means taking a step back and being visible while you redefine yourself and taking some risks. Taking some risks in a role that might not work out good, but because this actor is so over being a villain, has to take those risks and not take the safe route of continuing being the villain. Now, it's important to understand that the algorithm itself isn't evil. It is designed to give viewers more of what they have shown interest in. That is why it is so effective at growing YouTube channels. The algorithm is really geared for the most optimal viewing experience, and that most optimal viewing experience, it's giving people more of what they want to watch. But as YouTube creators, we're caught in trying to balance both what the viewers want from us and what we as creators, entrepreneurs, want to do, feel inspired to do, and excited to create. Because it is very difficult to create from a place of not being inspired, from a place of dread or burnout. For Anna, the algorithm that helped her reach nearly 2 million subscribers is now that same force that makes her feel trapped in a content category that she's now outgrown. This is a paradox of success on YouTube. The very thing that helps you succeed can eventually become the thing that holds you back. And the question becomes, how do you break free from the algorithm trap without losing everything that you've worked so hard to build? We're gonna get into that question in a bit, but first let's talk about another major factor in this whole equation: the expectations of the audience that the algorithm has helped you build. While the algorithm creates one type of pressure, audience expectations create a whole nother type. And sometimes these expectations can be even harder to navigate because they're tied to real people who supported your journey.
And then you also have you, my dear audience, who I don't want to disappoint you. Like, I know you subscribe to my channel because you want the style tips, the elegance tips, all of that. But the thing is that I've done so much content on those topics now. I am bored. I am burned out. I need to talk about other things.
Anna is admitting that she's bored with the very content that made her successful. That is not easy to say publicly, especially when you know your audience came to you specifically for that content. This is a double-edged sword of building a loyal audience. On one hand, having dedicated viewers who love your content is a dream for everyone on YouTube. On the other hand, that same dedicated audience can unintentionally box you in.
Why do I then complain that people associate me as the elegance expert? Like, I created this. Like, not. I didn't realize kind of the trap that I was making for myself because I wasn't listening to myself, like my authentic self enough.
I really like Anna's self-awareness here. She recognizes that she played a role in creating these expectations. Every elegance video, every style tip, every piece of content about leveling up your appearance, they all reinforce her brand as the elegance expert. And this is something I see with a lot of creators. In the early days, you're so focused on finding your niche and building momentum that you don't always think about whether you want to be creating that same content 5 years down the road. I mean, imagine spending years building a reputation as the go-to person for a specific topic. Your audience comes to you because they trust your expertise in that specific area. Then one day you wake up and realize that you've said everything that you wanted to say about that topic. You're over it. You're ready to explore new interests, new ideas, new parts of yourself. That part might still be something that is important to you, something you cherish and you love, but you can want to do something a little bit different. But every time you try to pivot, the engagement drops. Comments ask when you're going to be back to your regular content. The algorithm shows your new videos to fewer people. It's like trying to change direction while thousands of people are pulling you back to the path that you were on. What makes this particularly challenging is that audience expectations aren't just external pressure, they become internalized. Creators often feel a deep sense of responsibility to their audience. There's gratitude for the support, fear of disappointing people who've been loyal to you, and worry about losing what you've built. This creates a mental bind where creators feel guilty for wanting to evolve. It's as if changing your content is somehow betraying the people who helped you succeed. At its core, this is about the tension between authenticity and consistency. YouTube rewards consistency. Consistent topics, consistent posting, consistent branding, but human beings are not consistent. We grow, we change, we develop new interests, and outgrow old ones. For Anna, reaching this point of burnout forced her to confront this head on. She had to ask herself a difficult question. Is it better to keep creating content that no longer excites me just to maintain my audience, or is it better to risk losing some of that audience to preserve my creative integrity? When creators reach this crossroads of burnout and misalignment, they usually face 3 different options: continue pushing through the pain, pivot to new content, or walk away entirely. Anna's decision is a little bit of all 3.
And so I have taken a decision which has to do with retiring from YouTube. And the honest truth is that yes, I am going to retire, but not yet. And I'm saying that because there are certain things that I want to also do in my life that has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now.
Her announcement might seem surprising to people. A creator with nearly 2 million subscribers planning to leave YouTube, but she's not leaving right away. She is setting a timeline that allows her to share what she still wants to share while preparing her for her next chapter. I think this is an interesting approach. Rather than waiting until she's completely burned out and making a quick exit, she's planning a very thoughtful transition that serves both her needs and her audience's expectations.
I don't want to prove myself to anyone anymore. I think in the beginning I wanted to, but now it's like, yeah, surely I want to be as clear as possible about kind of my messaging. It doesn't matter so much anymore.
And what we're seeing here is Anna's evolution, not just as a creator, but as a person. Early in her career, like many of us, she likely felt the need to prove herself, to justify her place on the platform, to convince people of her expertise. And this external validation is a very strong motivator when you are first building a channel. But after years of success, that need for external validation naturally is going to go away. She's proven herself already. Now, her focus has shifted to internal validation, creating content that feels meaningful to her, regardless of how it performs or how it's perceived. And this shift is actually part of a natural creator life cycle that many successful YouTubers go through. I call it the creator evolution curve. Phase 1, discovery. You're experimenting, finding your voice, and building that initial traction. Phase 2 is growth. You found what works and you're scaling it, often working harder than ever. Phase 3 is mastery. You become known for specific content and you continue building that substantial audience around it. Phase 4 is reflection. You now question if this is still fulfilling and consider your long-term path. And finally, Phase 5 is reinvention. You either pivot your content, change platforms, or transition to something new entirely. Anna is obviously in that reflection to reinvention transition. And what I really like about her approach is that she's being transparent about it with her audience. There's something to be said for knowing when to walk away. In a culture that often celebrates hustle, pushing through no matter what, recognizing when a chapter of your life should come to a close takes a lot of self-awareness. At the same time, Anna isn't making an impulsive decision. She's giving herself space to share what she wants to share before moving on. And this balanced approach allows her to honor both her past work and her future goals. And who knows? She might decide, if this pivot were to be very successful and fulfill her personality, to stay a lot longer on YouTube. She was vague as far as how long she plans to continue creating on YouTube, and I do think it was purposeful. She herself probably doesn't even know. Maybe it will only be a year. Maybe it'll be 3 or 4 or longer. I think she's also playing things by ear and seeing how they go. Before Anna leaves YouTube completely, she's implementing a content pivot strategy that offers really good lessons for any creator feeling trapped in their niche. And this isn't just about making small tweaks, it is about completely reshaping her relationship with content creation.
I want to just change up the format a little bit here. I want it to be way more casual here. I want to put a bit the teacher Anna on the side, because actually teacher Anna lives hardcore inside the Level Up class.
What Anna is describing here is a smart unbundling of her content. She is recognizing that different content formats can live in totally different places. Her more structured educational content will continue in her paid membership program, while her YouTube channel can evolve into something more authentic and casual.
Yeah, I think I've pivoted. First, it was like high society, then it was like high society and luxury, and then it was like elegance, and then also like elegance and style. And now it's like, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out, because I feel like I am pivoting also a bit right now.
What's interesting here is that Anna reveals she pivoted multiple times already throughout her YouTube journey. This is something my client and good friend Kimberlea has gone through herself. And she says this often. She says most content creators that are on the platform long enough eventually have to pivot in order to sustain themselves on this platform. Because most people change and they evolve, and they're not always that same person that they were when they first started their YouTube channel. The difference now is that Anna is approaching this pivot with more intentionality and transparency.
I think strategy is important on YouTube. I don't think that we should completely neglect it, but I think we have to find a balance between the creativity, personal values, authenticity, and strategy. And I think only that will foster some form of longevity for you, like mental health wise.
Anna's approach to pivoting highlights an important balance that all creators need to find. On one hand, you need to have some level of strategic thinking to succeed on YouTube. But on the other hand, if strategy completely overrides your authenticity and creative expression, it is not sustainable for your own mental health. And I find a lot of people do what Anna is describing when they're trying to make a pivot. They can't let go of the old content because they're afraid of losing the audience that they have worked so hard to build. And so they tiptoe between the old content that they did so that they continue appeasing their existing audience. And then they dabble in the new content. And I talked more at length about this in my video about Raw Beauty Christie, which you're gonna wanna check out. But unfortunately with the algorithm, it doesn't really work that way. I have done enough of these pivots with my own clients, worked with enough creators to know that a true pivot, for it to work and for it to take off, needs to be one where you go all in on that new type of content. And the more and more I've done this with creators, the more I'm convinced that this is the best route to take. An example would be one of my longtime clients, Caitlin Pulaski. She was in the luxury community and she was scared to no longer serve those people who she felt that loyalty to. But at the same time, she was really burnt out from that niche. So she tiptoed back and forth between the two niches, her new niche being social media commentary. But until she went all in on that new niche, we didn't see that success. And it was because she went all in the new niche that she ripped the Band-Aid off, and she's now seen a lot of success and finally hit that 100,000 subscribers. The algorithm needs to be trained. You cannot be wishy-washy with the algorithm, it confuses it. And what happens is, especially switching in someone like Anna's case or even Caitlin's case, where you've already built a following, it's going to be very difficult to pivot in that way if you're not gonna go all in that new direction. I do predict though that if Anna does go all in this new niche, I think she can have a very successful second career on YouTube, or like a second act on YouTube in this new niche if she does it where she goes all in. When you have a large channel, changing niches is like moving the Titanic, and you need to get strong force behind it in order for it to change directions. It's not like a little dinghy boat where a little wave can move it in a different direction. And what is that force? That force is new content in your new niche. And the more that you create that content, the more that you can have that force to turn the channel and turn the ship. And that means not being wishy-washy, not doing half of your new content and half of the old content. For years, Anna built her brand around external transformation, teaching women how to elevate their appearance, their style, and their social presence. But her new direction reveals a deep shift towards something deeper and potentially more meaningful.
I am incredibly focused on inner work right now after I had a big revelation when I realized that it kind of doesn't matter how much you level up your lifestyle, how luxurious lifestyle you get, if your emotional health, your mental health is not in order, then it doesn't matter how much money you have or what cool people you know or what parties you attend.
This revelation is really powerful because it represents a natural evolution that many people experience as they grow. We often start our journey focused on external markers of success, how we look, what we own, who we know. But with time and experience, many of us realize that this external achievements feel empty without the internal well-being. And Anna's shift mirrors what many of her viewers might be experiencing themselves. That realization that true leveling up starts from within. And this creates an authentic connection point that could actually resonate deeply with her existing audience, even as she pivots away from her traditional content.
I'm actually really proud of the fact that YouTube has helped me improve as a human being. And actually, when you embark on this journey as a creator, you're going to have to face some demons of yours in terms of, there are things that you have to reflect over.
And what Anna is describing here is something many creators experience, but few talk about publicly. The journey of being a creator forces you to confront aspects of yourself you might otherwise avoid. Your insecurities, your need for validation, your relationship with criticism, your authentic voice. In many ways, the creator journey is a personal development journey, whether you intend it to be or not. The public nature of putting yourself out there, receiving feedback, both good and bad, and constantly evaluating your own work speeds up your self-awareness in ways that few other jobs do. Anna's experience highlights how this inner work becomes even more crucial as you achieve external success. She's seen it on both sides. She's been in high society circles, she's achieved a material success, she's built a large audience, and what she's discovered is that none of those external achievements can make up for the internal struggles. She's also seen this pattern in others. As she mentions in her videos, she's observed wealthy, successful people who have everything they want in their life, yet are completely stressed out, dysfunctional, miserable, depressed, or just struggle emotionally or mentally. For YouTube creators watching this, Anna's pivot offers an important lesson. Your content can and should evolve as you evolve. The topics that fascinated you when you started your channel might not be the same ones that captivated you 5 years later. And that's not just okay, it is natural and healthy. The challenge is finding ways to bring your audience along on that evolution. Some will resonate with your new direction and stay, and others might not. But trying to maintain content that no longer aligns with your authentic interests is a recipe for burnout. And think of it like a tree growing. When a tree first sprouts, it focuses all of its energy on growing taller and developing those first branches. That's like that external growth phase. But as the tree matures, as it gets older, it develops a lot deeper roots and a stronger core. That is the internal growth phase. Both are necessary for the tree to thrive long term. Anna is now naturally focusing more on those roots and core strength, recognizing that without them, even the tallest, most impressive looking tree can fall down in a storm.
But I think for longevity as well, you have to keep reinventing yourself. I mean, that is so important. And I think, kind of one thing that I do teach is reinvention. And that is something I keep doing on myself too.
Anna's insight about reinvention is perhaps the most important lesson for any creator hoping to build a lasting career on YouTube. To evolve is not just a nice to have skill, it is essential for longevity on YouTube or any other creative platform. All right, here are the 4 most important takeaways from Anna's experience that you can apply in your own journey. Number 1, recognize the seasons of your creator journey. That intense hustle that helps you build momentum in the beginning isn't meant to be sustained forever. Just as Anna pushed hard in her early years, but is now seeking more balance, you need to adjust your approach as you grow. In those early days, that obsessive focus and relentless work ethic might be necessary to break through, but once you've established yourself, it's not just okay, but essential to shift into a more sustainable rhythm. This isn't giving up. It is smart resource management for the long game. Second, develop an early warning system for burnout. Anna reached a point of depression before stepping back. But ideally, you want to catch the signs much earlier. Pay attention to how you feel when you sit down to create. Are you excited? Are you indifferent? Are you dreading it? When you notice your energy consistently dropping around your content, it is a signal that something needs to change. It might be your content focus, your production schedule, or simply that you need to take a break. Do not ignore these signals. They are your creative self trying to guide you towards sustainability. Third, understand that pivoting is a skill that requires strategy. As we discussed earlier, the dabbling approach rarely works with the algorithm. Finally, remember that your greatest asset as a creator is your authentic voice. Anna's pivot toward inner work reflects her genuine evolution as a person. The creators who maintain relevance over the years or decades are those who allow their content to evolve as they evolve. Your audience doesn't just follow you for your topics. They follow you for your unique perspective, your energy, your way of seeing the world. When you create from a place of genuine interest and alignment, that authenticity shines through and creates a deeper connection with the viewers. Anna's story isn't a cautionary tale. It is an inspiring example of a creator taking control of her journey. By recognizing when she's needing to step back, being honest about her burnout, and thoughtfully planning her next chapter, she is demonstrating what mature, sustainable content creation looks like. Whether Anna stays on YouTube for another year or another decade, she's approaching her creator career with the kind of self-awareness and intentionality that is a valuable lesson to everybody. Personally, I really hope she doesn't go away. We would be losing a wonderful powerhouse female creator on the platform if she does. I sincerely hope that in her new chapter of her YouTube journey, she finds her groove and fulfillment in her new content. As you continue on your own creator journey, remember that evolution isn't failure, it's necessary growth. The algorithm may prefer consistency, but human creativity thrives on exploration and renewal. Finding the balance between these two forces is the true art of sustainable content creation. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Have you experienced similar challenges in your own journey here on YouTube? Are you thinking about a pivot of your own? Let me know in the comments below and let's continue this really important conversation. And if you found value in this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on navigating YouTube. So what's next? If you want to learn with me and have me as your mentor, I will be opening up spots in my YouTube bootcamp soon, so you're going to want to get on the waitlist. Up next, check out this video I picked out for you that I think you're going to love. Until next time, keep shining, keep creating, and most importantly, keep being you. Mwah.